regard to his humanity, we want to make it clear that he had a human mind. He had a human mind. As we've discussed, Jesus increased in wisdom. Luke 2:52. Excuse me. He went through a learning process, just like all of other children do. He learned how to eat, how to talk, how to read, how to write, how to be obedient to his parents. We can see that the human mind had limitations under the sovereignty of God because when he gave the Olivet Discourse, he did not know this. He said the Son does not know when this exactly is going to happen. It reveals to us that human mind was indeed human, and there were times when the divine nature revealed to the human mind things that only the divine nature could reveal, like knowing men's thoughts and that type of thing. But he had a full human mind. He increased in wisdom and stature. And as we've talked about, and I think it's worth repeating, that he grew in his understanding of the Messiah's person and work from the Old Testament. He grew in understanding who he was, the plan and purpose of God for him. He understood that from the Scriptures without any sin nature to hinder that. With the Spirit and the grace of God with him, he grew to understand these things. I think that's powerful, people, in terms of how he understood. And like we've said, there was a time when he had to read through Isaiah 53 and understood his role as the suffering servant, the sin bearer. Amazing in his human nature. Jesus had a human soul and spirit. Remember John 12:27 in the garden, "Now my soul has become troubled. What shall I say, Father? Save me from this hour, but for this purpose I came to this hour." When Jesus had said this, he became troubled in spirit and testified and said, this is John 13 then, "Truly, truly, I say to you that one of you will betray me." You can see he had this human soul and spirit. Everything that's true of a human being was true of Jesus. The divine mind wasn't put into the human nature. He had a human mind, soul, and spirit. That was some of the mistakes that were made in the history of the church, mixing those two natures up and not understanding how that worked. So he had a full range of human emotions, the Lord Jesus. Remember when he healed the centurion's slave, and the centurion says, "I'm not worthy for you to come even into my home. Just say the word and he'll be healed." I understand your authority, Jesus. I have authority. You have authority. And it says he marveled at the faith of the centurion. Marveled. Human emotion. He wept with sorrow at the death of Lazarus. He wept. He rejoiced greatly and praised the Father this is amazing, the Father's sovereign work in hiding and revealing truth from different people according to God's good pleasure. He hid things from those who thought they knew it all, the wise, and he revealed them to babes. And Jesus rejoiced in that sovereignty of God over that revelation to people who needed to see and understand. Only God can do that, but he rejoiced. It says in Hebrews 5:8 and 9, he learned obedience through what he suffered in his human nature. Obedience to the Father. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he was deeply grieved to the point of death. Deeply grieved. Full range of human emotions. This is a full human nature. And you know what's interesting? Another argument to confirm that human nature in all of its fullness was the fact that people near Jesus saw him only as a man. This is amazing. Even his own brothers who grew up with him in the home didn't get it. They didn't understand. They just saw him as another one of them. Maybe a good guy. He never got any spankings. How come that? What's going on? But they still saw him not as a divine person. Okay, they just thought he was a very good human being. They didn't believe in him at all during his public ministry. John 7, 3-5. Therefore his brothers said to him, leave here and go into Judea, Jesus, so that your disciples also may see your works which you are doing. For no one does anything in secret when he himself seeks to be known publicly. That's what you're about, right? If you do these things, show yourself to the world. And it says in verse 5, for not even his brothers who grew up with him were believing in him. And we have this account when he went to his hometown, Matthew 13, 54-58. His neighbors, he's going back to the hometown, and the neighbors he lived and worked with for 30 years, remember, in the carpenter shop, and they saw him day after day, and they saw him as an ordinary man, a good man, but we're all good men, right? He's no different than us, really. Fair, kind, truthful, but certainly not a divine person or a prophet of God who could work these miracles. Certainly not God himself in the flesh, and this is what happens. He came to his hometown, began teaching them in their synagogue, so that they were astonished and said, where did this man get this wisdom and these miraculous powers? And instead of bowing before him, they got jealous. Who do you think you are? You're just like one of us. Kind of idea. Is this not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brothers, James, Joseph, Simon, Judas, who didn't believe in him, and his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then did this man get all these things? He's no different from us. He's one of us. And they took offense at him. Can you believe that? They took offense at him. That's the darkness of the human heart. When somebody does well and they're praying, we grumble because we're jealous sometimes. And they did the same thing. They took offense at him, but Jesus said to them, a prophet's not without honor except in his hometown and in his own household. And the reason is so is because they saw him as just a human being. It's a confirmation of his human nature in every sense of the word. And so we've talked about this great, wonderful human nature, and we're going to pick up in our next lesson with regard to implications of that for his sinlessness and other things. So thanks for being with us. Come back for our next lecture on Christ.